Good morning, everybody. What's going on, man? I'm your boy Auto Guy DIY, coming at you on a beautiful Saturday morning. Gonna do a pad slap on my 2003 Ram 1500. So my son's gonna take my truck to work today, and I gotta make sure the brakes are decent. I've been hearing some noises. We're gonna take this little ride. Hopefully y'all can hear the squeaking noise that I can hear. So if your brakes are going out or making the same noise, you can get into knowing what it is and changing the pads out. I'm gonna put a little clip in here. Last weekend I got out here and jacked it up to figure out if it was the front pads or the back pads, because I wanted to make sure to buy the right set. So we're just gonna do a pad slap just to get a good brake pad on there. I gotta get rotors, but while we're in there, we're gonna check everything else and make sure there's nothing else that needs to be replaced immediately. So let's jump into this truck and get riding. All right, so I think the noise is coming from the driver's side front of the truck. So here we go, we're gonna start rolling. Maybe you can hear it right off the bat. Hear that? Hear that squeaking noise when I'm turning? That's them squealers. I hope that wind's not too bad. Hear it? Right now, man, we got the driver's side jacked up. I just wanted to show y'all where I jacked my truck up at. That's the location. I tried to get right underneath that shock, so it's less, you know, the once I pick the wheel up, the jack don't have to be up so high. So let's get over here, spin this wheel, see if we can't hear some noise. So you hear that? Just like I suspected. All right, man, we made it back. We took that ride. I showed you the clip of the brake pads last week. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing again. We're gonna spin the wheel. I got the truck jacked up, put on jack stands, got my little tent out here, keep me out of the sun. It's supposed to be about 100 degrees today. So yeah, so let's walk over here. Y'all know I like to show you the mileage. The clip you seen was from last weekend. So this is the mileage as of today, 409, 120, 132. So we're gonna take these wheels off. Listen. We're gonna do this one more time. That's not it. We'll get over here. We're gonna do the passenger side. Like I said, I put the truck on jack stands for safety. That's what it's supposed to sound like. So I'm gonna get these wheels ripped off of here, and then we'll go through this process real quick. We'll inspect everything. We'll make sure everything's good. I gotta try to get this done. My son's gotta go to work and be there by 1. So I'm kinda in a hurry, so to speak. So I wanna make sure the rotors will last at least another week or 2 so I can get some in, because buying them at the auto parts, the price just ain't right. We got the wheels off. So this is what we're gonna need. We need a bucket, a 13/16, and a 12mm. And you need a C-clamp. So I got my air compressor out. I'll show you the brakes here. I just bought some cheapos to pad slap because I'm not doing the rotors. $47 is what it come out to be. So I was looking at these rotors. They're not that bad. Not as bad as I thought. They got a nice groove in them, but they're still nice and thick. So that's a bonus. So like I stated a little earlier in the video, you'll go through 3 or 4 sets of pads compared to the back ones. Because also, when you hit the brakes, all the weight transfers forward, puts more strain on the front. So I looked at the other side. I brought my light out here. Let's see here. You see how that inside pad is coming apart? And then that one's pretty much wore all the way down. So that's where my noise is at. I got my air compressor out here. We're gonna blow all this stuff off, clean the area up first. And remember, before you do this, if you have access to an air compressor, wear safety glasses. These are the only set of eyes you have. So let's get started. We'll see how bad this is. That's actually not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. right, not too bad. But you see all that debris, that brake dust flying around? That's why it's important to have your safety glasses on. And that's literally little pieces of rust flying everywhere. All right, I'm gonna set this camera down and then we're gonna start breaking this stuff loose. So we're gonna get started. The first thing I like to do, I like to break apart my little slide bolts first, try to get some slack in there. There's no need in pulling your caliper off and then trying to fight it. Oh, we lost the light. The light went down. One, you got one on the bottom here. Now I just break them loose for now, just to get them loose. We'll pull the whole caliper off. I'll have to move the camera. I'm gonna set it on the bucket and then we can take it apart. We can clean all of our little pins, make sure everything's in decent shape. Like I said, this is just a pad slap. So, you know, it's not full on complete brakes. I am looking for a kit because I do need everything on all four corners. There's that one. Where's that bottom one at? Right there. Ooh, that one's tight. There we go. And one more thing, where is my tire iron? And one more thing, like I showed you, I have a lip on this rotor where it's wearing in, so just take your tire iron, right, and get behind your pad, right? You don't want to get on your piston, you want to get behind the pad, and just a little bit. You just need a little bit to slide it off easy, that's it. Kind of like that. Probably helps if you got a little smaller of a screwdriver. That wasn't no fun. So let's take this thing off now. Me personally, I take the bottom one off first so it hangs from the top. If y'all been with me for a while, y'all know that already. There's one. Always check your bolts to make sure the threads are in good shape. Make sure everything still looks good. Now I gotta move y'all real quick. Set y'all over here. Get y'all right. We gotta pull that rotor off, set it on this, that caliper off and set it on that bucket right there. Boy, that top one's in there pretty good. There it is, there it is. So now your caliper's loose, just 2 bolts. Take your same tire iron or screwdriver. And if you don't feel like fighting your rotor, always just throw a lug nut on there. Gotta keep that thing from moving around so much or falling off. So just get your tool, pry it up like so, slide it off of there. Like so. Always try to set your hose to where it's not in a bind. And look at that. So we're gonna set this right here so it doesn't fall over. Right, let me get this light. Look at them pads. Look, that one's coming apart at the top. See it right there? That one's wore down, that's why them squealers were rubbing. Now let's look at the back of this rotor. It's in worse shape than the front. It's smooth. That's a good thing. It's nice and smooth, but it's got a lip. So let me get all this cleaned up a little more and we'll keep rolling. I want to pull my rotor off, check it, look at that wheel bearing. So look at that rotor. It is nice and clean. Good thing is it's still nice and thick. It does have a little lip, but that shouldn't affect it too much. For the most part, if you wanted, you could get a file and be gentle, or sandpaper and just kind of file it down some. So I'm gonna slap these safety glasses back on real quick. And then we're gonna hit it with the blowgun again, with a little more air. So now that we got everything off, we're gonna inspect everything else. So we're gonna give the wheel bearing a spin. That's nice, still snug like it's supposed to be. Oh, and one more thing, just take your brake line and undo it from your ABS line here, and it'll sit down on your bucket nice. No tension on your brake line. Let's see, tie rod ends, I mean, they look good. Lower ball joints look good. That sway bar end link at top bushing looks like it probably could be replaced. Upper control arm looks pretty good. Mounting point for the upper control arm looks pretty good. So I'd have to say all in all, it's not in bad shape. So that's always a bonus. Nothing needs to be done right now besides these brakes. So let's rip this thing apart, clean it up, and then grease it up, and we'll get to it. Get our 12mm. This is the reason why you break these loose, why it's still mounted on the truck. It just makes it easier because you want to pull these out and inspect them and clean them. These are your slide pins. And you know, I've actually done it the other way before. Took the caliper off first and then tried to do it. I ended up putting the caliper back on. So we're gonna inspect the bolts. They look good. They're in good shape. They don't look like they've been over torqued or anything crazy like that. We'll do this other one. We're gonna slide this back one off here. Same thing, inspect. Looks good. I mean, they're shiny. They don't look all debris up or dirty. Threads look good. That's a bonus. Now let's do our slide. I gotta set y'all down, post y'all up. Hopefully that's a good angle. Slide these brake pads out. These things are wore smooth out. I guess I get rid of these safety glasses for the moment. There's one pad. Come on, you're gonna fight me, I can tell. I can tell. There we go. It's gonna have to come out some way, right? There's one pad coming apart, breaking. Look, the whole top, man, that thing is in bad shape. And voila. Pull this other pad out. It's been on there a while. You can tell it's wore out too. The squealer's been rubbing. This here, I actually think came when I pulled it off, that lip on the rotor, I think broke that pad up, so that's what that would be. So one more time, we're gonna get this blowgun. We're gonna clean all my pistons out, and then I'll show you how I get down with compressing them. And that'll be that. So before I depress my caliper, I always take my cap off my brake fluid fill reservoir, because you are pushing pressure back up through your lines. So I'm a little old school with it, kind of like a lot of my methods. So I use the C-clamp, I put it on there like so. We'll get you getting a little crazy with it. We'll get it pressed in there. Good as gold. Just use an old brake pad. You can see it's just an old brake pad in there. You don't want to use the new one. Don't use the new one, man. So here we go. Nice and steady. Right, once you get it moving, it should move. If it doesn't move, then you have a sticking caliper problem, and you might want to get into replacing that. So you always want to check that. That's important. While you're running it in, if you feel a lot of force, or if you have to fight it a lot to get it to go all the way in, you might have another issue somewhere. And make sure your brake line is not kinked anywhere, because you want fluid to flow freely. This one's actually being a booger, to be honest with you guys. There it goes. It was just going in there sideways. That's another thing, you gotta watch it. They'll go in there sideways, dual piston. So if it's cocked in any way, it'll fight you that way. See, it's going in nice and smooth now, and then you always wanna go back and check. It should never overfill your brake fluid reservoir, but it ain't gonna hurt to check. There we go. Now it's going in nice and smooth. That one piston in there was cocked a little bit and it wasn't rolling the right way. Now we're doing good, which lets me know that that brake pad was almost so far out, or so far gone, that that piston was gonna come out, and then that would have just ruined everything. So you want to go nice and steady, go slow. You're not in a hurry, you're just doing brakes. I mean, this method right here, man, you can do this on the side of the road with a jack and minimum tools, minimum tools. And there it is, bottomed out. I usually let it set for a second, leave it bottomed out. That'll be that, kind of clean up my mess a little bit. And then voila. Just like so. Like so, you pull your old pad out of there. Perfect. Check your rubbers, make sure they're collapsed correctly, make sure they look good. There's no visible tears or oil or grease or anything leaking out of there. You already could tell when you was depressing the pistons if it was stuck or not, because it would be either smooth or not. Then you're gonna go over this here. You want to make sure your slides move freely, both sides. Right? They don't want to feel grimy. They don't want to feel like they're sticking either, because that's your brake pads coming back and forth against your rotor. This is how we're gonna do this. We got our little synthetic brake grease. You always want to use this every time you do your brakes, whether it's a pad slap or you're doing the whole thing. So we'll rip it open here. So the way I do it, I start off with my slides. You want to put some on your slides. You want your brake pads to slide easy, right? So you put some on your slide here. Kind of make it look real terrible, actually, that brake dust coming off of there. Get some on the other side. Take some, put it on your slide pin bolts. You want to go ahead and put a little grease on them. Let me go grab a rag real quick. Yeah, we'll go ahead and clean that old brake dust off, man. It's starting to get everywhere. So like I was saying, put a little bit on your slide pins here. I don't really care too much you get it on your threads or not. That's really not my cup of tea. But I do want my pins to be able to slide correctly and smoothly. Make sure you do both of them. And then I use the rest on the brake pad itself. Now I was looking at these, they don't have squealers on there, but I've already got them here at the house and the front wheels off the truck, so to hell with it, we're gonna go with it. Squeeze this stuff out here, man. You put it on your brake pads everywhere. Put it everywhere on the back. Do not get it on the stopping surface, on the rotor surface. You don't want it there. Right, but you want it on the back all the way through. You even want a little bit in your little cuts right here, because those are going to slide on your little pins right here. So the more the merrier, right? Of course. Put a little in there, like so. Make sure that's all lubed up. And usually I do my pins and my slides on my caliper first. So all the excess I have after that, I can go wherever I feel like I need a little extra. I usually use 1 pack per side, so I know I have enough grease to do whatever it is I need to do. I mean, this is a moving part, and if you think about it, how many times do you hit your brakes in your vehicle just going down to the convenience store? I'm gonna put it in there like I stated. Put it in there. Boom, voila. I even have a little extra left over. So that'll work. We'll do that for the other side. Alright, so we're going to slide these pads in here. Let me turn y'all a little bit. We're going to slide these pads in here. First things first, I got to get rid of this blue glove. It's got grease on it. Well, hell. There's one. Had to slide it in there right way. And there's the other one, just like so. So at that point, we're gonna move y'all, point y'all back up here at the caliper. Let me see if I can get a better angle for y'all. There's that caliper right there. We're gonna slide this back down on there like so. Just make sure your brake pads are pushed in enough to slide. You can always push them back out if you have to. Like so. Go in there, they'll clear. They should clear, should I say. You gotta get them little slide pins out of the way. You gotta get those out of the way. They'll hold you up. See, it'll slide down in there like so. Boom, just pull your pads back out like so. Put our slide pins in here, or our bolts. Perfect, perfect, perfect. At that point, we just want to snug them up. We'll tighten everything down once we get it back on the truck itself. We just want to snug it up. Make sure it's good. Make sure it's good. All right, all right, all right, all right. So let's slap this thing back on here real quick. We can jump on that other side. Always pay attention to your brake line. Make sure it's not under or in a bind or anything of that nature. And it's as simple as lining your holes up here. Always do the top. You do the top, it can hang. Get you a couple, 2, 3 threads in there like so. I mean, voila, it's as simple as that, fellas. Oop, there goes my light again. That thing's being in the way. And that's that. So it's as simple as that to do the front brakes on your Ram, your 03 Ram, should I say. Man, I'm gonna finish tightening all this up. It's up to you if you want to torque them down to specifications. I personally feel like I can get them tight enough, and I've never had any come out. And there it is, all tightened up. 13/16. I tightened them 2 up first, then I tighten these up, and it's on there. So before I jump to the other side, I'm gonna walk over here and get these keys. I always start my truck. Depress the brake pad to close that side up, let the fluid go back to where it needs to go before I start on the other side. So got these keys. Let's jump out here and get this thing started. Show you this mileage once again. All right, there's the mileage. 409, 132. Now, let me climb up in here. I am on jack stands. Hit this brake pedal a few times, all the way to the floor. Make sure you go all the way to the floor every time. And remember, your master cylinder is open, or your reservoir is open, so don't just jab it down to the floor. You'll spray fluid everywhere. So just nice and steady, right? You just want to try to get your pedal back. And then that'll be that. We'll take one more look at it. Take a look. Nice. Rotor's on there nice and tight. Beautiful. We're on the passenger side now. But before I let y'all get out of here, I wanted to do this visual inspection with y'all. So first thing I noticed is, even though they're not making noise, when they're thin, that brake pad fell apart when I pulled it off, that back one here. And the front one's pretty thin. Good thing they come in sets. Another thing to note is that these bolts here for your slide pins on your caliper, these were 10s. I don't know if it's the same for everybody's truck. The driver's side was 12 millimeter. These are 10 millimeters. And your mounting bolts on your spindle are the same, 13/16, or I believe it's a 17 or maybe an 18 millimeter. And one more thing, when you take your ABS light off or line off of your brake line here, make sure to put it back on. So we're gonna carry on with the inspection. Tie rod ends look good. Look, they're snug, they're not turning real easy. That bearing, ooh, there's a little click in there. But I mean, it feels nice and snug. We'll be getting into that soon enough. Same thing with the upper sway bar bushing link here, end link. It looks like it needs to get replaced. The same with the upper control arm. The ball joint, the bushings on the mounting for the frame. And then let's look at this lower one. And the lower ball joint looks pretty good also. Shock mount. So we'll jump to this caliper real quick, check our slide pins. They're good, they slide nice and free. Check this one up top here. Just make sure it's nice and snug. You can pull that boot off and look if you want. I know what it feels like if there's grime or grit in there. That doesn't feel like grime or grit. Check our pins. They look good. They got some wear on them. So when I buy that brake kit for all 4 corners, I'll make sure it comes with new pins. This one looks a little more worn, but I mean, nothing catastrophic. So this side's the same as the other side. This video is already gonna be long enough. So I'm gonna get out of here and finish this up real quick. With all that, keep living the dream, doing your thing, like and subscribe. Always drop your boy a comment, and I'm gonna finish this up.